I am so excited to talk to Fay McGrew, my dear friend. And it's funny how I think we've talked in the past how you said that you don't have the credentials, of a practitioner, but you have like such amazing credentials that I would like for you to share what you do so that we can hear, because I consider you a practitioner, actually. And it not in the sense of medical, but it is. It's just not recognized in our system as medical, but it's true healing. Would you like to share what you do, Faye?
Yes, I'm a Yang Sheng teacher. And what's that? So I said, okay, I'm a Qigong teacher,
Right?
and, which is more well known, but I teach a classical version of it. And so it includes, so exercises are just one part of it. And meditation is important, and lifestyle, and spiritual awareness, etc., like that, emotional balance. And I've introduced this quite a bit to hospitals here. I'm located in San Diego and other medical facilities um, for patient care. And it's interesting, as we were talking about before, when the practitioners see the positive impact of all this on their patients, they go, "Well, we want this. We want this.
Yeah,
We need
because
this."
right. And how we know each other is that we went to the same Qigong school. Among there are many schools. You've trained considerably years before we met. And we happened to meet and converge at this school that's a Taoist medical Qigong, very respected lineage. And it's what I like to say is my real medical training. I've had Western medical training, I've had acupuncture training, but my Qigong training is what fills in all the gaps and really helped me understand what true healing is. And
It's the glue.
it's the glue, and it's also the substance that explains things without just being told. This is just what it is. It's
Without being told, because it's reaching our true innate nature, which
right.
is trying to be recognized, especially in our culture and our culture in recent happenings right now.
Yeah.
So people respond to that, and it's a challenge because everybody thinks it's the movements. We're going to learn movements, and that's how it's really leveling out here in the United States right now, and in the West, and missing quite a bit. So I say I'm a Qigong teacher, and like you, a certified master and healer, but there's no end to our training and self-awareness as we go through this. And then I fess up and I say, well, I'm really a Yang Sheng teacher, and then put it into that context. So in my public classes, sometimes I do not see a return because of their
Yeah. Well, what
exercise.
a shock. Oh, yeah, my
They,
goodness.
they, well, no, they have their expectations, and it's not like they're going to something that's going to harm them. And then there's those that really stay. And it's not just for a series class, it's for years and some for decades.
Well, let's backtrack though on what Yang Sheng is, because for us, we know what that is. Yang Sheng is really all the things you need to be doing to live a long and healthy life. And these are things that we can tap into our own healing potential to do rather than the herbs and the acupuncture and the pharmaceuticals and the surgeries. Wouldn't you say so? I mean, it's a big deal. It's two words that mean so much,
Nourishing life.
right? Well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing this month. Isn't that fun? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's not something that I've never abandoned. I've always it's almost like we're hyper aware as practitioners. We're always hyper aware of our health and the health of the world and the community around us. I think about health probably more than most. That may be healthy or not, but this is a different kind of a focus that I'm returning to, and that's just being very honest with myself, being honest with people around me, with people I serve, and being true to really get the healing done and not just talk about it. You know, it's really hard is trying to focus, film myself doing this when I really don't want to be filmed. But I'm going to get used to it.
Yeah, and I think that's why subconsciously I called you today because
Yeah.
and because I am talking about myself
What's going on?
as
Yeah.
a practitioner that I have gone through something like that and really inspired, which I think great courage you're taking and shows what a great teacher you are.
Thank
Um, so of self-care, and I'm at a point, as I mentioned before, I had a very busy week. I had a busy week for my own healing. I had a busy week for teaching and healing others, and I just uh, yesterday could not do anything after the last class that I taught. I just went home. I just couldn't move. I couldn't think. I just needed to rest because, as we know, with Qi, when you're doing the movements, it's not doing the movements. It's afterwards the benefit of it.
Right.
So so in effect, you get out of the way, which I did.
Did I mean, were you feeling well, how you said you couldn't move? Were you exhausted? Were you drained? What was going through? What was happening to you?
It's very interesting. I would have said without the knowledge that I had that yes, I was exhausted, but it's what's called a chi reaction that people have. So it's different for everyone else. And it's the self-healing process in action. You're not doing the movements anymore. You are feeling the benefits from it, and your body's adjusting to it. And it can adjust to it in different ways because we are all snowflakes. We're all going to respond to this differently. So for me, that heavy feeling, it was just it was the get out of the way because I was in this healing process and it needed time. It did not fit into the timing of my newsletter that's late or
Okay.
doing
It's
all the business that we have to do.
right.
And I just had to let that go.
Yeah.
And that carried over, and again, inspired by your video, what you're doing now. And then we spoke earlier this morning, and again, I was feeling the same way because today's an energetic day. It's a big energetic day, and so what
How is it a big energetic day today?
well, today there's 24 solar nodes where it's the every 15 days there's a subtle change in nature. So we know the big ones, the solstices and the equinoxes. Outside of the solar nodes, but also up there are the full moons and the new moons, that they do have an impact on us. So this is the last one before the summer solstice. So that means the yang qi energy is rising. So there's great benefits, great benefits from practicing now. And I was getting those benefits. And so like, well,
Oh, and you know what's so cool is that the when I taught, I don't know if how often are the nodes happening? Because I when I was teaching my student the Qigong that triggered this sort of whole desire to sort of take this self-healing journey, I was teaching a Qigong form called Celestial Pillar, which
yeah.
is my favorite form. I mean, I have a lot of favorites, and I'm teased about that in the Qigong school where we trained. You know, it's like every form's your favorite. I'm like, every form's my favorite because there's something new and exciting about it. And like you were saying, Qigong or uh, Qi meaning, again, not a great translation, but the vitality or life force energy or the fabric of space-time, which is the more agreed upon definition of chi. It's what you don't see, but how it behaves that matters. And the gong is the cultivation, the practice, the consistency. That's the thing that's lacking in our American culture here is the consistency. When people tell me, they say, is Qigong safe? I'm like, for Americans, it's totally safe because you're not going to practice, so that's why it's safe. So don't worry about it, but in
Less time to learn a
less time,
whole form.
that's
No.
right. The ones where they have accounts of Qigong causing, stroke and things like that, with someone with high blood pressure. That's a diehard Qigong practitioner who's doing the wrong movements and doing them way too long, too much.
Went to the wrong
And you know what
teacher.
it is?
Yeah.
Wrong teacher and really the missing link, which is so simple, and it's what I'm trying to do now more for myself, is the art of listening.
That's the Buddha.
That's it. It's really not that complicated. So I listened with, yeah, this is not working well, so me. And I also listened when I challenged my student to practice this celestial pillar qigong form 3 days a week. And in my head, automatically I said, "Oh, you think you're just telling her to do it? You're told to do it." So I'm doing it. And I just practiced the celestial pillar this morning, and I feel taller. I feel more energy, but I am also understanding that one of the things that I discovered this morning is that I'm also observing the things I'm not doing that I should be doing without judgment, like staying up late for the business meeting yesterday and to finish this project. And of course I did a great job, but I triggered a migraine. I felt terrible and I just depleted my good work that I worked on with the Qigong in the last few days. So that's Yang Sheng too,
All together, right?
all together. And it's been a really nice journey so far. And doing this, which because you know me, that I'm not super gung ho about sharing my health with the world, but I couldn't help it anymore because I feel like the world needs us so much. They need healers. They need to tap into the healers within them, but the healers are getting sick, and
I
need
agree.
we need the attention right now.
Yes, and that's with our teacher has been training us for years, preparing for these times that are coming up, and we haven't seen anything yet.
I know.
And we have a mapping that we can share with others, and it's really helping those that are open for this information and for ourselves as well. So, and this will help others, and that is our role. And again, like the point that you are making, we have to take care of ourselves. This is not going to be an easy
Mm-mm. No, we
situation.
people haven't seen anything yet,
True.
and I think we see it and we're putting it aside. There was even a joke I saw in a recent series. Do you watch Hacks?
I love hacks.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So if for those of you who haven't seen Hacks, it's really funny, but there's some really golden moments of just different phrases. And the one in the very last episode was, you know, I know this is going to cause some harm to me, but that's a tomorrow problem. So without a spoiler alert, right? That's a tomorrow problem that this such and such is going to cause dementia. Well, that tomorrow problem must be dealt with today in the now, because tomorrow you won't have time to fix it for the next day. And if you reach that point where we have our limits and we have a time where we can listen and know we're almost at our limit. And so what happened to me 9 years ago is that I just about passed my limit.
Mhm.
And now this time I haven't reached it, but I recognize the signs. And so I'm like, oh, I can course correct. And that's where I think people need to be. but we just don't have, there's just no time to, you and I have talked about this so many times. We both teach Qigong to the public. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen that there's no readiness in many people. Not the ones who are attending. They're there because they're ready. But even the ones who are attending aren't quite sure if they're ready to really dive in because life, quote, gets in the way. But number one is got to be yourself.
Absolutely. And what I went through, what I was sharing with you, so that was yesterday, that I needed to right after my last class for my busy week. This morning, I also woke up the same way and thinking, oh dear, um, my deadline. I'm missing my deadline, and what that means. So it was really going through my life. Okay, so I'm missing these deadlines now, but this is more important, and it helps to change around priorities, but in a very deep way. So it's okay. It's not feeling I'm late for these particular deadlines. It is what it is, and I'm taking care of myself. And that's so I can, you know, um,
Yeah.
uh, do that responsibility that I'm saying in my newsletter, that I'm the classes and everything.
Well, I just finished another qigong session. I was going to do the celestial pillar one, where it's going to give me more energy and make me feel better, but I really needed to clear my head. So this is also just as important, that I'm not just giving myself energy to do more work, but clearing my head so I can make the right decisions to not do as much work as I've been doing. So that's the tricky balance that we have as practitioners, right? I'm just taking this one day at a time, but I am committing. It's funny, by recording this, I'm actually pretty accountable for it because I think, oh, I could wait a little longer, and I waited a little bit longer today, but I'm still doing it in the mornings like I told myself I would. And I might still do something at night, but it was really nice to be able to kind of go back to something that helps me feel peaceful, centered, and certain, right? Like I know that this is right for me. I know that Qigong is what I need. And I know that Qigong saved my life 9 years ago. Now, you told me, going back to when I first put out the video this week, you sent me a text message saying you are brave. And I found that interesting because do you really think it's courage? Or do you
Yes.
think why is that?
Because people have this expectation. If you are the best in being a healer or a teacher in healing arts, if something happens to you, there's something wrong. That means whatever you are offering is going to be degraded from that. That's what they're thinking, and which is totally untrue. And so you're bringing truth. You're bringing truth to the situation. But it's in this marketplace that we're in now, these expectations that, and in our culture that really take a special kind of person. We're in the cult of personality here. If you're famous, if you're the big name, that means you're the best. And that's just not true. It's
No,
just not true at all.
no, and it's been so frustrating. Honestly, it's been so frustrating. I feel like I have such a strong message. You have a strong message. But we are drowned out by the circus of social media and this illusion that, I have to have my hair all made up and I have to be in this perfect place and looking at the mountains and the coastline And I'm just ha 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 laughing. I don't know how else to say it, but that's just BS. I mean, it's not true. I mean, show me that they have, if they really are perfect, then they're not being truthful. Because
Absolutely.
there's no one in this world that's perfect, not even people that we revere or famous figures. Nobody is perfect. So why even pretend?
Yeah, and it's like also towards paralleling the road to enlightenment. Everybody thinks it's rainbows and unicorns. Are you kidding?
Oh,
You know,
that's why I'm trying to. Yeah, no, it's true. Like healing is not. It's not always fun and games. But it is
it's
about
work.
it's work.
Yeah,
But if it's consistent work, like Qigong, for example, if it's consistent work, it's not overwhelming.
that's true.
It just is. And that's why this isn't so difficult now, to do this. I mean, there are times where, yeah, I mean, I want to drop 30 pounds that I gained since menopause? Heck yeah, I do, but I can't focus on the problems. I've got to focus on the healing.
Absolutely. It's ah, it's a very large thing, like this goal oriented. This like or maybe it's like Western medicine. What is your chief complaint? And we're going to fix your chief complaint at the expense of anything else, and then we'll deal with that later, as opposed to these holistic practices, which is taking everything into context and that it's respected and supported by everything except our society, which it
Oh,
doesn't support this.
I
So,
know.
yeah,
And these East Asian medicine concepts are so critical. The Yang Sheng concept is so critical. It's the missing piece in our Western healthcare system. And and I've always said that it's not about abandoning the system we have. It's about enhancing it and making it whole and healing it. And it's been kind of a journey. You've been with me ever since I started this business. We've been staying in touch and just all of the I mean, it's always this, I get very excited, about sharing something, and there just isn't that reception. But not once have I ever doubted my vision. I have always had the same vision and the same belief that people can come on board and start to take care of themselves.
yeah,
It's accelerating though faster, these issues with the world and with our communities and with people in general at a rate that we have to do more. And that's why I'm doing this actually, because we can't wait. I can't wait to help myself, and the world can't wait for what needs to happen. There needs to be an incredible transformation in the way we take care of ourselves.
right.
There needs to be a transformation in the way we take care of each other, a
Yeah.
shift, a paradigm shift.
Yes, the paradigm shift. And sometimes there needs to be a total crash of everything
Sure.
and the rebuilding. And I think that's what we're witnessing now.
It's not a
So,
bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing for that to happen.
no, it's just not pleasant. It's not rainbows and unicorns.
Not
It's,
rainbows and unicorns, no. No. But it leaves room to build again. It
yeah,
just, or
to
to
pick
think
up the
differently.
pieces which we have the answers for.
Right.
And
And
the answers is for them to empower themselves, to know themselves inside, their innate nature, and then everything else will just all come together rather than seeing it in these separate little blocks, which is the condition, as you know, people are in terms of their health and well-being. Everything's a block and never not put all together holistically.
no, and I really I'm going to be talking a lot more about systems because if people understand systems, they will behave differently. I really
Yes,
do believe that because if you know how things work, then you know how to make adjustments.
Well, that's why I think it's brilliant. And that was one of your podcasts was about that.
Mm.
And absolutely brilliant. And like I shared with you, I start sharing that terminology as well now, in terms of me presenting information to my students about it. It's a really good way to think about it.
How are your students receiving that when they hear that?
Well, probably just like your patients and your students, that first of all, it's a paradigm shift and it takes time and it's counterculture and it's a paradigm shift. So you got to give everybody time. I've just had a student I hadn't seen in 10 years said, I have to come back after 10 years.
Wow.
So this is what I was telling you, the new series of this public class that I give, were people like that, and that they know from the experience that they had before, they know what's going on currently with their own health, they know what's going on with the healthcare system, and they say, "Oh yeah, I felt so good when I was doing Qigong. Yes, it helped me through this health crisis." And that's what happens too. That's why, like, I'm not teaching that much in medical facilities anymore because they're there because they have a health challenge, and they tie in. So most of them never have studied these practices before,
Mhm.
and and that so they equate it with their illness, and then their health challenge, and then the health challenge is addressed and they don't want to do it anymore. It reminds them of the past, but it seems like they're coming back. Oh yeah, that helped heal me on many different levels. And that really was from the very few integrative medical facilities that I was teaching at, which as the institution supported it. But the straight classical ones, no, it was next doing something different.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going into even I'm restructuring not just myself, I'm restructuring my business approach, I'm restructuring my schedule. Everything is getting restructured so that I'm in the equation.
I just finished my practice and I feel good. I feel good. What does that mean? It means that I feel more energy, I feel calmer, I feel rooted, I feel like myself, and I feel like I have the whole day ahead of me. And it was worth it. It's really weird to, I'll be honest with you, it's really weird to film myself and to talk to you about this stuff that's more vulnerable for me. I mean, I'm not giving you a lot of information right now. It's hard to talk about, you know? It's hard to talk about your health, especially if you're a practitioner. That's actually the hardest thing to do. It's not a magic bullet. But it is simpler. There's a lot of things that you can do, like this morning. I, made sure that I ate something, that I hydrated, that I did Qigong. And there were a lot of times where I thought, maybe I need to do something else. But the Qigong has to be on my schedule, especially now. And every time I finish, it's not every time that I finish or I think, oh, that was amazing, but it gets to be that way. It's almost like, oh, you know what's the most amazing part? The most amazing part is that, wow, I feel more like me. And I'm not like covered in the mud of society and all the things that come at us and all the things that we internalize. I feel cleaner, inside, and I feel clearer, and I feel purposeful, and I feel good about myself. And that's not always easy to do either as a practitioner, and let alone being a practitioner on your own. That's really hard. We're all so siloed and we're all made to feel like there's so much scarcity in our system, but there really isn't. There's no scarcity in the system. There's plenty of people that need our help.
I did all this traveling this year and I realized, oh, that's not something I want to do unless I have more support or setting up workshops without, proper assistance. I just feel like I just know my reserves and I know I have a battery and I know my battery doesn't hold a charge as well. And but it may improve, but that doesn't mean I get to drain it all the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling myself as well. Especially when I get offers to teach now, it has to be really all on the people that are asking me, rather than to me have to do so much to do that for my time and my energy, and especially as I'm aging. Um, uh, I know that I need to conserve my chi, and as much as my heart wants to do more, and all these opportunities, I need to turn them, not to turn them down, but to renegotiate maybe what the people are asking me to do that will fit around what I can really do, because I really feel the energy. So two things are happening. I'm aging, so the Jing energy is being compromised. Doing really good for somebody my age, so it's keeping the Jing going, the Qigong, which we know it does. But but I need to keep that in mind, because I do want to keep going, and I'm not going to be able to keep going in my age at this level unless I do exactly what you're talking about.
Are you doing it? Are you joining me in this journey? Are we going to do it together?
Absolutely, girlfriend.
Right. All right. That's my hope is that I'm like just want to get everybody to just start thinking about it, doing it. My family's coming in on it as well. Like we're all investing in for our own doing the things that are good for us individually, but wow, if we can just sort of share the successes and the challenges together, how wonderful is that?
Yes, definitely with you.
All right. Well, I hope that we can have some more conversations in the future. I look forward to that.
Okay.
And thanks for your time, Faye.
And thank you, Barbara, for everything that you're doing. You're a real pioneer.
Thanks. Right back at you.